Hey now.
Hey now.
I'm going to tee it up actually with the trailer, or not trailer, from the scene from Rogue One. And anybody watching might be like, oh, these guys teeing it up like that. But let's tee it up like that. Maybe it'll give a few minutes for people to join and then kind of go from there, okay?
Sounds good.
You see this okay?
Yeah. This is Rogue One, right?
This is the introduction of Vader, Darth Vader, during the Star Wars Rogue One movie. Thanks for reminding us.
Street Prophet.
Street Prophet, exactly. Can you hear it okay, or does it sound like crap?
I can barely hear anything. I feel like I should be hearing something, right?
Well, maybe I can turn it up a little bit. Well, no, there's barely any noise right now. Hold on, ready? Here's some noise. This will test you. Sick. Let's make a few notes though, right? As we're watching this. The amount of time that it took for the aircraft to enter Mustafar and enter the castle, and then for this individual to then into Lord Vader's chambers was what, a solid minute or so? What are we into this? I mean, yeah, a minute and 20 seconds, right?
Like here this is right here. You see his shadow. You see his shadow right there. And his music.
Look at that.
Imperial March. Like this is
Imperial March. My wife is a little bit particular about the Imperial March.
Like this is amazing. Like I still get goosebumps. Like this is amazing with the smoke and
the music,
like
the Star Wars music in the background.
Exactly. And this is Darth Vader. This is his menacing, his scary. He's the most feared villain in the galaxy right now.
Also to note, I mean, I guess something aesthetically you picked up on was the helmet in this was more of a matte look versus the Obi Wan, very shiny.
Right.
I like this look better, in my opinion. Much better.
Right.
And it could be the angle, the shot, the lighting. Let's not, you know what I mean? We're not going to sit here. That's not something that we're critical about. Just something that we picked up.
It was a beautiful scene in the background. Like, you know, this paid homage to Darth Vader.
Understatement.
You know what I mean? Yeah, introducing him back into our universe. Like, this was done so well.
Yeah, and I wish
my eyes.
I was talking too much. I feel like there it is, the shot right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
What? That shot, like art. I could frame that and put it on our wall.
Yeah.
I think we get the point. You know, I'm not going to keep it on too long. We get what he's going to do at this point. He's going to choke them. Don't choke on your aspirations. We get all that stuff that's going to happen there. Oh, hold on. There we go. Can you see okay? Hi there, little lady. There's Daddy. Do you want to tee this up? Like, how do you want to tee this up? I have some thoughts to help tee this up, but what are your few thoughts to then fuel to mine to then Street Profits?
I mean, there's a point that we want to make. There's a point why we had showed the Rogue One clip of Vader. You know, I think we should just cue it up from there.
Yeah. Here's what I need to add and need to stress, because as much as whoever's watching now, this video will be permanent. We are insane Star Wars fans. And when I say insane, I can't think of anything in the recent days that's been bad. I'm talking Mandalorian. I love the Bad Batch. You know, any Boba Fett. I didn't like the last episode of Boba Fett, but that's its own conversation. I like Boba Fett as a whole, the music. We enjoyed everything. We're going to have another conversation another day about what is the last one, Rise of the Skywalker. Now, that's the only one out of the Disney era that is a piece of crap garbage movie that should never exist. But we're going to have a different episode on that. The only reason I tee it up and frame it up like that is we love everything. There hasn't been anything that's come out that we haven't liked except for Obi Wan. Now, Obi Wan has come out, and I see comments that have said I'm a crybaby. You know, oh, if you don't like it, you're not a Star Wars fan. I mean, the only other thing that I'll kind of throw to the fire before we jump into it is that my wife and I had mentioned this a few times earlier today. If you didn't have a genuine opinion and you didn't say you like something, well, if Star Wars was putting out stuff that we didn't like, but we kept saying we liked it, well, what the hell are they going to do? They're going to continue to put out the same content. I mean, we need to voice our opinions and be honest. I think what's happening, and people hate when I say this, I think people are so excited to see Obi Wan that they're kind of blinded. They see Obi Wan, they're excited from the most exciting parts of Obi Wan, as we mentioned, are the prequel. What do they call that? Recaps. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm tearing up during the recaps." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not tearing up during the episode." But again, with all that said, we're insane fans. We love Obi Wan. I wanted to come to these casts and jump on here going, holy freaking crap. I would much rather do that than bitch about it because we want to, look at each other. But in fact, it ends up being awkward while we're watching the episodes because we're kind of like looking at the other person going, I don't think he likes what's going on, or I don't think she likes what's going on. So with all that said, what's your first thoughts?
Well, this is all subjective, so I don't care what people say. Oh, we're crybabies or whatever. We're not true fans. Like, you don't know us. Like, we're probably bigger fans than this. It's not a competition anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's subjective. So we have the right to our own opinion. If you don't like what you see from us, don't watch us. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just don't then. But yeah. I'm a huge Vader fan. Like, maybe probably one of the biggest Vader fans. I have a
Vader tattoo, people.
Lady Vader, like,
she offered to show everybody, and I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? We're not gonna show your Vader tattoo on these casts." I know I've mentioned that before. We're not there yet. We're just not there to the Vader tattoo reveal. And it's not in some crazy spot
to get us. Just proof how much I love and invested in Vader.
Vader tattoo.
And I just feel like Obi Wan does not give the homage that it deserves, the Vader homage that it deserves. We waited so long, and we expect, like, I didn't even cry or have like moment or anything like that. I'm so disappointed. Like, I could cry. Everything. I just feel like the Vader scene should be more dramatic. It should be led up to it. You know what I mean? It should be beautiful, cinematic. But what Obi-Wan is so abrupt, and it doesn't lead up to anything. There's none of that, oh my God, it's Vader moment. And there should be. We've waited for Vader for so long. And here's Hayden Christensen, and there's James Earl Jones. Like, this is the Vader we love.
Next level. The James is there. Next level.
We wish that there would be more creativity in that, and much more like just more. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but I think that's disappointed.
That's a perfect tee up of there's a creative issue with the show. I'm very nerdy into the, how these shows are created, who's creating them. I was telling my wife today, who creates these shows? I mean, their portfolio is like a resume. I mean, when you go get a job at a $500,000, $2 million job, you think people just look at your resume and go, I don't care. No, they want to know what you've done. And forgive me for saying this, Deborah Chow don't got much of a resume. What was it you said this? I already forget. It was so lackluster. What did you say she directed?
The Vampire Diaries. Like, what episode?
I mean, listen, we're not going to go down any rant that's going to get me in trouble, but my guess is Deborah knows somebody over there at Lucas, because when you've directed the... What? I'm sorry. How do you go from the Vampire Diaries to Obi-Wan? What? The problem is with Deborah Chow, she doesn't have the background to direct a show like this, and it shows. It's exactly what 1 second, sweetheart. It's exactly what we mentioned, that Deborah, unfortunately, does not have the resume to support a show like this. Hey, hold on 1 second, crowd. Can you go see Mom 1 sec? Yeah, Mom actually has snacks. Can go see Mom. She has Gushers. Mom's got gushers. Deborah Chow, listen, she just needed a couple more years before she got to Obi Wan. So I there's some things I remember from what you said. I'm gonna remember this now, right? So my wife mentioned that when we first saw Vader, it just wasn't as epic as it should have been. The music and the connection of the armor to Vader, it didn't connect to us as an audience. Here's my opinion. It was more action. It was more, I guess just the best way to put it, like an action show, something along those lines. Now, it should have had Star Wars music. It should have had some theme that went with the Star Wars show. But it didn't. It had this action music as it was connecting him. The best way that I really could have put it is it should have been more poetic as it connected the armor, as it built us from Anakin to Vader. It should have had a slower theme to it. It should have had more connecting music, sadder music.
Imperial March. Like, how do you not have Darth Vader with Imperial March? Like,
it was these drums. It was like dum 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 connecting his arm. And don't get me wrong, that was cool. I like that. But we need to look at this as a whole. Here's why everybody's going, this is the greatest show of ever. I get that it was cool to see him come together, but why didn't that make us feel as sad as the recap in the beginning of the show? Uh-oh. I haven't seen this comment. I want to show you how much of a real, this could be bashing me, could be doing anything. What we got here? Here's the reality. The Disney Plus shows feel generic and lazy. Reva is annoying AF. Whoa, I didn't say that. Space Trooper said that. And the fighting
I
is
think
underwhelming.
Space Trooper should join us. Like,
hold
he
on,
should
I'm
join
going to
the
comment
next
on this because he's on some points. I feel very alone seeing everybody say they loved it. Okay. Space Trooper, for starters, you better have subscribed to us. Because what you said, I'm going to see if I can take my hand, is like everything that we agree. Here's the reality. Disney Plus feels generic. I would disagree to that extent where I do really like The Mandalorian. Boba Fett, my wife's not a fan. If we're to rate Boba Fett as a whole, it's another conversation. It's more of a 6.7. It's a 7-ish. But that to me, in my category, I liked it. But The Mandalorian is badass. Jon Favreau has not failed us with Mandalorian. But yes, generic has really hit the spot with Obi Wan, unfortunately. Reva is annoying AF. I got to dance around that one. We've seen a lot of posts lately about Moses / the character Reva, about racial stuff and hate. I've seen none of that. And I'm not trying to act stupid and play blind to it. I've seen none of it. So when I see these posts, I'm like, what? Why would people treat her like that? Doesn't even. So I'm with you. Should never treat anybody poorly because of that. As far as the character, I would say my wife might echo this. We're not the biggest fans of the character.
Oh, no, not at all. Like, I
okay.
think
Well, she's go ahead. You take it. I'm sorry. Street Profits.
She does like nothing. She makes like no mark. She leaves no mark imprint in us. You know what I mean? Like how like in The Mandalorian, like like they introduced Grogu.
Say that about what you said about the characters. Say about what you said about the characters in Mandalorian. Remember how they make
all the like most.
Why don't we show that little? Pick them up. Show them. Go ahead. There's our little Mandalorian. Hey, yeah.
Our little Grogu. But in The Mandalorian, a lot of the characters they introduce to us, we fall in love with them, and they leave an imprint.
Understatement. Even the robot, we love. I fell in love with the robot.
Exactly, and like you know what I mean. Reva, whatever her name is, she does nothing special. I feel like we can pluck her out of the entire series, and then we'd still have a nice Obi Wan show. You know what I mean?
Unfortunate to say. And
her acting I feel like has no depth. She just acts like an angry person. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing special about her acting either. And I'm not dissing on her alone. I'm just saying in Obi-Wan, that's all I've ever known her in. She's not the greatest.
My only indifference to that is what she has done and shown to me so far. And I mean this, nothing's picked up to me that I don't like her. I guess I've just said that. And the only thing I've said is out of the 3 Inquisitors, I like the one with the circular helmet the most. And how much have I said? I was like, I really like him, the way they do his voice. They make him sound kind of scary. So the fact that she is the main character, yet my focus is more on another Inquisitor, thinking, oh, I wish he was more, I think echoes that comment to a certain extent. And then today, we're going to go too far into it. And I need to mention one more thing about this comment, because there's one more thing. We're going too far. I'm going everywhere. Street Profits, blah, blah, blah. There's a baby in the shot. I don't even know what's going on. When Reva was in the town, when Darth Vader was there, they were searching the town for Obi Wan. How does she know everything? She just walks by that building and she's like, they're in this building over here. Opens the door and hold on, give me 1 second, because you know where I'm going with this. She opens the door. She's in this place where I gotta say I'm like tangent after tangent. Every robot, Star Wars, are we getting lazy? Every robot was in like a human suit today. We thought it was a bounty hunter. My wife thought the first time she saw that it was a bounty hunter in like a suit. The robots are in these like suits today. Like, wow, we've gone so downhill with Obi Wan. We can't even have robotic movements anymore. Like, you could hire somebody that could walk the robot better than that guy today. I mean, he was just in the robot, held a knife behind his back. I'm sorry, I got to hear what you're gonna say. I got to finish what I was gonna say. Then she goes through the room that the robot, the robot hung out in, that was basically a human being robot. She finds another secret door, opens that secret door, and then inside the third secret quadrant, the Jedi leave an LED red button to open their secret door. They left an LED red button. She's like looking around the place and she's like, boop. And I'm like, why would they leave their secret button as a red LED? And my wife goes, if you look at the Inquisitors in the universe, they really love red LEDs. And you're right. They just have a thing for red LEDs. So I'm sorry. What were you going to say before I lose my thought? And I have to comment one more thing. I'm everywhere. Go ahead.
Oh, we were talking about the loader bot.
Mm-hmm.
The loading bot. Yeah.
Absolutely. What were we thinking?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying if they're like thinking, what robot are you talking about? The droid, the
droid robot. But the reason why we stressed it is if you noticed, it was in several parts of the episode. Yeah. He was in right where the ship landed and stuff like that. And like you said, when the ship landed, I was like, maybe that's some type of bounty hunter in a suit.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
It moves so poorly. But before I remove the comment, the last piece I need to stress here. Yes, the fighting is underwhelming for 3 episodes in, and we're gonna get to that. This guy's gonna drive me nuts already, right? Space Trooper, Deborah Chow in LucasArts advertised Obi Wan and Vader as the rematch of the century. Come on, today was the rematch of a century. Anyways, the last thing before I move this, I feel very alone. That's the problem with all of this. The problem with all of this is if we voice our opinions that we don't like Obi Wan, we're crybabies. We're not true Star Wars fans. That's the complete opposite. Prior to Obi Wan, I think we've raved about everything. Even I'm sorry to throw my wife under the bus. She might not be a great fan of the Bad Batch and some of the cartoon stuff, but the Bad Batch to me, especially the last two episodes that I saw recently, fantastic. I rewatched them recently and said, man, these are really 2 amazing episodes. So everything up to this point we've loved. But yeah, we feel alone too. I feel scared sometimes. People get excuse me, Street Profits, baby on screen. I get scared as I'm posting in the groups. People are like, I love it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't really like it. And then I'm like, backspace. I'm like, I love it too. I feel like they're going to boot me from the group or something. Like, what are your thoughts?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem nowadays is we feel scared. And the problem, I need to echo this comment over and over. I feel very alone say everybody, I loved it. Well, you're not alone, but I would feel fearful to go out to all the groups and your friends and family and say we don't like it, as we don't give a crap. I mean, I'm not here to make any money or make any friends. We're going to go out here and bitch and moan about it. Here's the next one. Space Trooper. We got another Space Trooper comment. Mando is good, but Revenge of the Sith is so much. Revenge of the Sith, I love. I don't care what anybody says. I love Revenge of the Sith. Absolutely not rewatch those episodes. The actress deserves zero hate, but every Inquisitor is incompetent except her. Incompetent. I'll give that to you. I'll give it to you that every Inquisitor is incompetent except her. I got to think about that for a second. I mean, yeah, I guess what she's done has worked. The plot line of the show, you know, we're not even really there yet. We're already however many minutes deep. The plot line of the show is its own whole. The fact that the Inquisitors have involved Leia and stuff like that is its own questionable choice, in our opinion. But I think it really leads us to what we had a big problem with today. And I said earlier on this. Deborah Chow, LucasArts, I don't know who else, StarWars.com, all these people, they listed when Anakin and Obi Wan met again that it would be the rematch of the century. Now, if you've seen Revenge of the Sith, we're talking about like they're on cocaine and steroids fighting. They're going insane, fighting from lava structures and in the fastest. They're like going. I thought it was on like they're on steroids. I don't know what was happening in Revenge of the Sith, but they were going insane. So we're gonna compare Revenge of the Sith to a darkness fight. That I'm telling you, if I was Obi-Wan, I would have brought out a flashlight. I would have put on my headlight. If I'm fighting Vader in the darkness, we couldn't see what was going on. We waited. We should have teed this up. I don't know how long we waited. It had to have been 20 years or 30 years. We waited for this moment, and we can't see it. We can't see what's going on. I've been ranting. What are you thinking right now?
Oh, no, I totally agree. Go on. Seriously. It was such a lackluster.
Space, these are the people that I love this. Space. I'm going to get mad if you don't join us every cast because your mindset is very similar to ours. It felt fan-made. Here's the thing, and I'm not saying this to make people laugh. I'm not saying this to sound crazy or anything of those sorts. There was a point when Obi-Wan was battling Vader, and I told my wife this, hand over heart, I thought maybe it was a dream sequence. It seemed so out of place and so bad that I was like, maybe he's dreaming this, and it's a Force thing, you know, as where Luke saw Vader, you know, when Yoda training down in Dagobah, down in the tree area there, whatever. Similar to that. I thought that's what perhaps we were seeing, but it felt fan-made. And there was a point where I bitched about this all day. We've watched this several times. So it's not like we just watch it. We're like, we don't know what's going on. We've watched this. We watched it again. The second time as we watched this, we were going, maybe we're crazy. And my wife was going, I hope we are. Let's watch it again. She wants to love this. We watch it again. And there's this part where Vader has his left arm down and he's just bashing him with one saber. And I'm like, what is going on? Has Vader gotten that slow with his saber skills? My wife thinks so. Based off of what I've seen, which doesn't match with comic books and stuff, which is canon now, Vader can do some impressive things. It doesn't make sense as far as that battle.
Like that one-handed duel, like when he was doing the one-handed, I think for me, what came to my mind was that's how strong he is right now. He's so strong that he can defeat Obi-Wan with just one arm. That's what I got out of it. I mean, it's a cybernetic arm. How could he not? You know what I mean? But I'm not saying that's what I thought.
That's interesting because perspective, and that's why I want to stress this. We embrace opinions. Even if you think we are crybabies, tell me. I'll put it on screen that we're crybabies. I want somebody to join this cast and call me a crybaby. I love that. My wife will tell you that. I love confrontation. Come on here. Tell me I'm an idiot. People have told me my hands are fat. I got bad teeth. I'm 4 eyes. Hey, these sausage fingers and 4 eyes don't give a crap, eh? Hey, I say, the fact of the matter is we embrace your opinion, and I don't care. We want to make you feel comfortable with it. And that's from the genuine heart. We want you to feel comfortable. Come on here and say, you guys are crazy. That doesn't make sense. That's the point of all this. But it didn't work for us, and on top of that, and maybe I'm going on another tangent with this, it was so in the dark. I couldn't see what was going on. And don't go past where he lit the fire, because that's another problem. We're not at where he lit the fire yet, but it was so in the dark. It was so clunky for them to tee up Obi Wan and Vader after this long, that clunky, where his sword came out of darkness, and it scared my wife like a horror film. She literally was like, "Oh!" And I was like, "Oh!" And it scared me. It scared her to scare me. And she'll tell you, she was like, "Oh!" She jumped, her elbows moved, it hit me next to her, and I was like, what happened? It scared her. Like, why do we need jump scares in Star Wars now? It kind of actually, I maybe I'm crazy, I'm just on the tangent. It echoes what we've been saying the whole time. The introduction of Vader should be elegant, beautiful, poetic. When these two met, I mean this. My wife means this, and she knows what I'm about to say. It makes me want to cry that it wasn't done as well as it should have been done. I mean, I can't stress enough. I was waiting for that slow, them to see each other. It just, maybe a few pieces of dialogue, not much, but enough. It had action music. Go back. Everybody watching this, go back. When they show Vader throughout this episode, action music. This isn't a goddamn Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. This is Star Wars, Deborah Chow. We don't need action music to see Vader. It doesn't pump us up. We're like, Vader's going to fight. Vader is, and I think this is where this is going to sound cheesy, but my wife will agree with me. Vader it's a beautiful piece of art, the way he looks and the way he should be introduced to this universe. It's
iconic. Yeah, he's
iconic.
Piece of Star Wars. You know what I mean? You're gonna bring him back.
Piece or is Star Wars.
Yeah, if you're gonna bring him back, do it good. Don't like half-ass it. You know what I mean? Don't be lazy. Like, give it to us. You know what I mean? Give it to us good. And
yeah, this is.
Wanted to feel the epic.
Listen, we didn't pay Space Trooper. We didn't pay this guy. My wife's laughing because she knows we feel these things. We didn't pay this guy. I don't even really know this guy. I know Space Trooper. I don't know you do, but I like you officially. I can speak for my wife. We both like you. Please show up for every cast. What he says again, we wanted to feel that epicness. Here's what my wife and I said is the not the trailer. What is it called? The recap of, where it got us at the beginning of episode 1 gave us more feeling and chills and tears than the episodes themselves, which unfortunately is a problem because we're relying on the nostalgia of the old ones when you have all this building ground to build these beautiful episodes. And I don't know. I don't care to see them necessarily fight and battle and go crazy. That's not what I was jumping into this for. It was the elegance and the beauty of what Star Wars is. And as we teed up the trailer in the beginning of this, whatever we call this rant review, I don't even know what it's called at this point. The point of that was what Gareth Edwards did with Rogue One was not just tie Star Wars together. He tied Star Wars visually for us. He tied the audio together. Every moment gave us the feels and had the audio from whether it was the old movies or slightly twined with the new ones. It had a twist to them. But most importantly, it had an artistic look to it. That scene where you heard me in the beginning where Vader and Krennic and the door was open in the background, I could frame that on a wall. I could frame that on a wall. When Obi Wan, now what a great segue. When Obi Wan and Vader fought today, is there any moment you could frame on your wall other than when Vader's sword came out and scared the crap out of my wife, but just then in return scared the crap out of me? Is there any part other than that, in your opinion? Could you frame a part?
I know we're not going to get into it yet, but the fire scene.
The fire scene.
with
Let's make
Vader.
sure, because Space Trooper's onto something. The show should have been Vader in his healing tank having flashbacks. Hey, you're gonna lead me down a tangent. My wife has said 100 times during this. Where is Hayden Christensen? What the hell did they hire this guy for? We thought he was gonna be hired for flashbacks, and I get it. I thought he'd be hired for the Bacta tank or whatever the hell it's called. Is it in this? Whatever that, the healing tank, a Bacta tank. I don't even know what the hell that thing's called. I should know. After this many years, I should know, but I don't know off the top of my head. We thought they would be healing stuff like that, but or shown just like that, but should have been better choreographed, should have been better music. Hey, Space Trooper, put a comment. We didn't pay you. We did not pay this guy the show. The whole thing that I've been complaining about before we get to the fire scene, the music. My wife was like, I'd be a millionaire if I got money every time she talked about the Imperial March. Not thinking about it. Have they played it once?
No, they haven't played it even once. Like, how can you not? Like, that just comes with Darth Vader. Like, that is Vader. You know what I mean? Like, it's just mind-boggling.
I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. The Imperial March.
Maybe they didn't have the rights to it. Like, that doesn't make sense because it is Star Wars.
Not the rights to it. They got everybody involved. It's just like, I don't have much of a comment on that. You know, Imperial March should have been the defining moment. And like I've mentioned several times, whether it was the Imperial March that we're used to and accustomed to, or a rendition of it, change it up a little bit, make it a new theme where we hear some reminiscent parts of the Imperial March. But for them to skip out Vader, and what we've said a couple times through this, the Vader scenes had action music, like drums. They were like dun 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 dun. Then you're connecting and showing Vader. Another ongoing joke before we get to my wife and another comment. Every time they introduce Vader up into the fire scene, we're not at the fire scene yet. We ain't at the fire scene yet. That was the fire scene's the worst part of the episode. We're not there yet. But every time they showed Vader, it was just like, boom, Vader's there. He came out of nowhere. Vader should be slowly introduced.
It's super prep. Like, bam, here's Vader for you.
In the castle.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Like we said, it was like we joked a couple times. We just stood in front of each other like, hey, I'm Vader. I'm here. And it was like Vader should be, take your camera, pan into him slowly. Some music. We should feel what we felt at Boba Fett when we saw Cad Bane. And I don't know if it's anybody else, but my wife and I felt it was fear. Every time Cad Bane was on screen, I felt these characters are in trouble. And they got to kill this guy fast because this guy is one scary mofo. As Vader came on in comparison to Rogue One, we didn't feel that impending doom. It's like he just showed up out of nowhere. And which, again, leads us to the point where he's fighting Obi Wan in the darkness. And the fire scene. The fire. So the only thing, before I get to the fire, let me just hold on. Started looking for Hot Toys channel recently and came across your channel. Boom! Space Trooper. We do weekly casts, usually on Wednesdays about this time. We're always about 5 minutes late. We have a lot of kids. Forgive us on that. But every Wednesday we have been doing casts. So we'd love for you to show up. Seems like your mindset is very similar to ours. And I mean that. We didn't pay this guy to show up. We appreciate that, dude. As far as the fire scene, how does fire stop Darth Vader from getting to Obi Wan? Now, I know my wife has an opinion on this. I know what her opinion is. How did fire stop Obi Wan and Vader from their impending doom and collision with one another? 15 seconds, 30 seconds before that, Vader swooshed the fire away like it was nothing as he was bringing Obi-Wan, and might I add, in very uncomfortable scene of burning Ewan McGregor. I don't think we needed to see that temperature. It was pointless. I get the imagery is very similar that when Anakin was on Mustafar and he was getting burnt up. We got that, but as I said to my wife a couple times today, it made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't want to see him getting burnt. I just didn't like that part. He's burning him. For starters, when he's burning this guy, if you were in the fire that we saw, you would have been way more burnt unless he has some force shield around himself, which Obi Wan seems to be some hobo. Like, he just doesn't know how to fight or do anything anymore. Vader pulls him into the fire. That was uncomfortable. He should have been burnt more. It was just a weird scene. And then after that, I don't even remember off the top of my head how they got separated. His buddy or the girl on top of the hill shoots the fire, and 20 feet of fire stops Vader from getting to Obi-Wan. Deborah Chow! Have we seen some of the covers of the Marvel comics or the Vader statues that are out there where he's just charred, destroyed? He would walk through anything to get Obi-Wan. He would have walked through hell itself to get to Obi-Wan, Deborah Chow. And you think 10 feet of fire is going to stop Lord Vader? Not only that, Lord Vader has 20,000 troopers at his disposal. You think a 10-foot fire by 20-foot range has impaired Vader so much that he... I can't take this. That he lost Obi-Wan! It doesn't make sense! How can he lose him? The human robot was dragging him away. It looked like... Has anybody ever seen Lost in Space on Netflix where the robot just walks totally like a human? The human robot was dragging Obi-Wan away at a snail's pace. This is Darth Vader! He can jump. He can do anything. How did the fire stop him from getting Obi-Wan? Go ahead. What are you thinking?
You are crazy, first of all. Maybe no more
sense as I'm thinking about it.
No more Street Profit for you. Like, let's get back to Earth. Okay. You're in Mustafar right now. Let's get back to Earth.
And the color of my drink matches Mustafar.
Exactly. But no, you're completely... I think you're wrong about that. I think he let him go.
This is what my wife thinks. Let's debate this for a second. Go ahead. Go give us an insight to what you're thinking.
Because, like you said, he definitely can. He definitely can go through fire and stuff. And he saw Obi-Wan. It panned where we see his view, and it panned into him looking exactly at Obi-Wan. I think he chose not to get him at that time for whatever reason.
So this is what my wife has said to me several times. Space Trooper, I'm multitasking. I'm going to start with my wife's comment. Excuse me. That was a Street Profit moment. It doesn't make any sense to me, what you're saying. What Vader went through. And listen, I'm a financial nut in our real life. My wife hates me for it. I am just a financial, I am crazy with finances. One of the things I thought about, Vader must have spent an outrageous amount of galactic credits to find Obi-Wan. The training programs for the Inquisitors. We're talking about weird things my mind is thinking about. All to get us like a pyramid to this point where we're searching for Obi-Wan. He brings us here. He's got Inquisitors. He's got everything on the planet. And you're telling me he then views... I'm sorry, I'm directing this right at you, my love. He views Obi-Wan after doing all of these efforts and goes, I feel bad for this guy. I'm going to let the human robot drag him away.
I don't think
also, hold on, no, give me 1 second. I'll spend millions of credits to find him again. Go ahead. What are you thinking? I'm sorry.
I don't think he felt bad for the guy. That's why he let him go. I think it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game. You know what I mean? I think, well, actually, no, he spent 10 years looking for him. But I really feel like he saw him.
My comment. He spent that long.
Yeah, but I think maybe seeing him face to face, like maybe some kind of force in him felt like, you know what I mean? He didn't want to capture him right away. or it's just a Hollywood cinematic thing. Like they can't let him capture him just yet. You know, they still need 3 more episodes to go.
2 scenarios. I'm with you. Now, scenario 1, I respect. He felt something. Now, clearly we know at the Return of the Jedi, he went back to his normal self. We're not that far in the span of these movies where he's, from that point. So it's a possibility. And I mean that with all my heart. I'm giving it to you. It's a possibility he felt something in that moment because it did zoom into his lens. It showed Obi Wan. The devil's advocate there says it makes no sense unless we are defining this guy as a, what is that called? When you just go back and forth with your personalities, bipolar. 2 seconds earlier, he was trying to burn him alive. He was trying to burn him. He's burning him, and as he's burning him, he's like, I kind of feel bad I'm burning him. And then he swishes him away. It's possible that is what swished him away as I'm saying it. My gut says that it was poor writing. It was poor writing that Deborah Chow, as I said all day today, this same joke said, hey, wherever the fire is in the frame of the shot, Vader can't get by that. He can't get by the fire. But technically, as we saw from the hilltop, when the shot was taken, the fire was what? I don't know, 20 to 50 feet. I don't know. I'm no expert at that, but it was 20 to 50 feet. It didn't seem like enough fire to justify thousands of troops, Star Destroyers, Darth Vader from avoiding looking for Obi Wan. It made no sense, and this is a good time. The show sits at a 6 out of 10 for me. I'm going to get to that in a second. It's not going to leave a positive taste unless they deliver insane Vader scenes. They're not gonna, and great flashbacks. If it's just more Reva subplot, so I'm gonna attack a few of this. I have time to do this. For sure, we're gonna get a bunch more Reva subplot. Clearly, Reva was one of the younglings in the temple in the beginning of episode 1. Anybody that doesn't know that, I'm planting that seed now and saying, I'll run around the neighborhood naked if I'm wrong on that one. She was one of those 5 younglings that was in the beginning of the temple. That's why she's very upset at the Jedi. So we're going to get more subplot on Reva. My opinion, and I told my wife, unless you disagree with me, she's done for. Reva is definitely done for. We haven't heard from her much more in the expanded universe, so I would think somewhere along the lines she's going to get killed or revenged. Do you agree on that?
I didn't really give her much thought, so maybe.
I got to give her some thought because she's one of the focuses of the show. And then as far as Space Trooper again, dude, I'm going to say this over and over and people might get annoyed. I'm not paying this guy. We've said, I have said that this show sits at right around a 6.7 out of 10. If you say 7 out of 10, I'm sorry about this, Space Trooper. I want you to start watching my channels. 6 out of 10, 7, 8, those are rookie scores. We got to get a little bit more granular. Those are rookie scores. I'm going with a 6.7 out of 10. The reason being is there's a lot of space that they got to make up on this. And do I think there's going to be more Vader scenes? I hate to say it. I think we're done with seeing Vader and Obi Wan. In my opinion, I think we might get more Vader scenes, but I don't know if you disagree or not. I don't think we're going to see those two see each other again. I think that's all we're going to get.
I mean, they've promised us the fucking, the duo of the century. Like, they better give us they spent so much time with the Leia story, getting her back and stuff like that. What they should have done is, when Obi-Wan made the decision that he's going to go rescue her, a little scene of him getting back to, his training or something.
Absolutely.
The Force, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then and then jump into the scene where he's fighting Vader. It's so much better and epic. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're doing. It's just so mind-boggling. And it's this guy just found out that he's alive. For 10 years, he's felt this guilt in his heart that it was his fault that, Anakin, became this dark thing. And you know what I mean? and after 10 years he realized he's alive. Like there should be a more shocking moment. You know what I mean? And they didn't capture that whatsoever. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, Anakin's still alive. It's Vader now. It's just like you should focus more on that. You know what I mean? To me. So yeah, this show was like a 5.2 on my.
Well, hey, Space Trooper is in between the 5.2 and the 6.7. Space Trooper, we got to do some in between decimal scores here, buddy. But I love it because you're right in there with what we're thinking. It's kind of, I don't know, like you said, it's the music and the way they teed it up. Now, the reason, again, and we probably mentioned this, the reason we started by showing the Rogue One intro of Vader, this is a movie, keep in mind, a 2-hour movie, and they took about 2 minutes to kind of queue up and get to the point where we're watching Vader and talking and seeing him. In Obi Wan, which has, excuse me, 6 hours. Boom, here's Vader. Boom, here's the Inquisitors. Boom, here's Obi Wan. There has been no moments that have kind of slowly introduced these characters back to our lives with the right music, the right speed, and the right feels. I felt more, again, for the recap than we did the introduction of these characters. And one thing, not to go back to episode 1 or 2 there, remember when they showed the lightsabers? It was like, boom, boom, here's the lightsabers. I can't believe we didn't have a beautiful slow pan in there with some Star Wars music. Like, it should have been something that our hearts felt, and we didn't feel that. And again, this Vader thing. What are you saying?
I think we should start wrapping it up.
All right, I'll start wrapping it up. George Lucas made me feel entertained. The beautiful world of Star Wars, his music. I can't stress enough. Space Trooper, we're right there with you. Not only George Lucas, I think the new spawns of George Lucas are Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They have the vision. They have everything that we're looking for. And again, as we start to wrap this up, we'll do more rants. We'll talk about this more. We got to keep this to a certain time limit here. I give it a 6.7. Space Trooper gives it a 6 out of 10. My wife gave it a 5.2 out of 10, you said?
Yeah.
So we're right all in there, between a 5 and a 7. It's not giving us
great, just a Star Wars, thing, a Star Wars standalone, but to paying homage to Obi Wan and Darth Vader and stuff, it's garbage.
Oh, well, I don't know if I go to the point of garbage.
It's garbage in that sense, to paying homage to them and to Darth Vader and Obi Wan. Like, come on, like, what are they doing?
You know what? And I won't go too much. I need to bring up one more thing. Hate to be negative. Look at the back part of this comment. Look at the last part that Space Trooper says, hate to be negative. It's not being negative. That's the problem nowadays, is that if we voice that we don't like Obi-Wan, oh my God, this is the time where we should start wrapping it up when I'm calling it Obi-Wan. When we are thinking that Obi-Wan, that we don't like it and we're fearful to talk in groups about it, I mean, I don't think that it's negative. It's your opinion. And if we all embrace that this is the best show in the world, then every Star Wars shows that comes out from this point is going to be very similar. It's going to be mediocre. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Now, I'm going to start to wrap us up here. If I put a poll and I did a lie detector to everybody out there, and I said, if you handed those two this show, would it have been better? What is your opinion?
Oh my God, hands down, for sure.
The fact of the matter is it would have been better.
I don't even know why they didn't.
With a property of this sort, I'm with you. I don't know how Deborah got it. John and Dave should have taken reins of the show fully. They should have directed it. They should have made it their own. We're talking about one of the most important properties in Star Wars history, which is Obi-Wan. So it'd be a conversation for another day. But hey, Space Trooper, we feel the same way. I'm very fearful to give out negative comments, but 6.7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 5.2 out of 10 for my wife. Any last comments?
No. Thanks for joining us, Space Trooper. So awesome.
Enjoyed the chat. Have a good night, guys. 6. Oh, yeah, Space Troopers. I love it. I better hear from you all the time, buddy. 6.5 out of 10. I love it. Deborah Chow isn't delivering. No, unfortunately, going from, and one last time, was it Charmed?
Vampire Diaries. Maybe she should
Charmed. Whatever. Charmed. Listen, Charmed and Vampire Diaries are very.
you're talking about witches versus vampires.
But they're both doo-doo CW shows.
Okay.
I don't know how you go from doo-doo CW to Disney Plus epic Star Wars content. So, Space Trooper, we appreciate it more than you know. 6.5 out of 10. Hey, let's do that. Hey, this is the perfect way to end it. Going at both ends. 6.5 out of 10 is where we landed. We're at a 6.5 out of 10. See you guys next time. Casey Toys, Casey and wife. Woo!